I think a wedding film should be a representation of what the day actually was. The way I build my films, I try to kind of maintain them as close to what happened as possible. So I try to intrude as little as possible, because I feel like from the moment you start intruding on a day, you're kind of taking away from the experience. You know, after being married and getting married myself, I know exactly how people feel on a day. You kind of just want to make sure that you're present in every single part of the day, that you are interacting with your guests, that you are essentially building and creating those memories. And the way I tend to see things, the way I tend to film and interact with my couples is basically I just let them be. Obviously we talk about what they want the video to look like beforehand, so if there's anything in particular that they want to achieve, i.e. maybe a couple of poses that they want to try, etc., then yes, it will be a bit more involved, but just so that we can get that for them, not for my purposes, it's for them really. And that's why I think it's so special to have that, because you then are able to look back at it and really relive it. The way I aim to balance those candid shots with those poses and the more formal shots, it's by allocating a specific time for them. So, you know, before the wedding day, we'll go through your schedule and then we'll see where there's like a little gap where we can fit in those moments. Not only really makes the wedding film a lot more cinematic because it shows that intimacy, but it also, for you as a couple or for couples, it really gives them that time to be able to spend time with each other and just say a few words to each other without having the rest of the crowd around them. Obviously during the ceremony, during the reception, all of that, everything there is mainly candid. I don't really interfere with those sections. So the only time really where I tend to guide the couple in a sense is when we get to that allocated time. And obviously we play it by ear as well, so if we get to that time and it's busy or the couple prefers to just go and interact with some people beforehand, we can always revisit that and move things around to fit. So it's about really focusing on the planning side of things so that I have a really exact idea of what the schedule is going to look like, and then we allocate a specific time for those more post shots. It's so special to me and it's so important to me to really click with my couples. I feel like the more you get to know your couples and the more they get to know you, the better job you are able to do, and then therefore you can offer a better service. And to be fair, because I do offer quite a few consultation calls before the actual special day, I do get to build that relationship with my couples, which then allows me to offer something a bit different. It's more like having a friend that has access to professional equipment rather than who's this stranger with a camera that's attending my wedding. I think the most important thing, like I've just mentioned, is to feel that connection with your videographer. I know that obviously budget is a big factor, but I feel that, you know, this is someone's special day. For most people, it's the most important day of their lives. So I think it's so important to really feel that connection with your videographer, because when you do build that connection, when you are growing that relationship, you can really ensure that you can deliver an amazing video, an amazing wedding film. Because I feel like if you're just going with someone because they meet your budgets, but then you don't really feel that click, you don't feel that connection, it can be a bit tricky because you are always on edge. You are not 100% confident in what the videographer is doing or what you should be doing. The most important thing to me is to find out who they are, what personalities do they have, what makes them tick, what excites them, how are they like with each other. And you can only achieve that by having those consultation calls. One thing I also do, which helps me build up that film according to their personality, is we build a Pinterest board from which I can then extract shot lists, color schemes, etc., so that I can really fit their personality into their wedding video. And that's why every single wedding video is so different from each other. The most common misconceptions tend to be, one, it's going to be super expensive, two, that there's only one style of wedding film. You know, if you think something is going to be pricey, there's no problem in asking. Just ask, how much is it going to be? You know, what's involved? What will I get? What will you offer? And then you start that conversation. You can get some of those misconceptions explained. I think the best tips for couples in order to make sure that the day runs smoothly for videography is speak to your videographer, speak to them and see what they bring to the table. Also be transparent with your timeline, what's happening and when, and also be transparent about what you want out of the wedding film. I think it's so important for the videographer to find out what you're after, what you want to achieve out of your wedding film. Communicate everything you want, everything you need, what your expectations are, and your timeline. And if there's any surprises, don't forget surprises. They're so important to let us know. It's about preparation. It's about having the right kit, the right knowledge, and once you've done, 10+ weddings, you kind of adapt a way of working that lets you be ready for those unexpected moments. It's about watching your surroundings. Even though you're pointing a camera somewhere, you are keeping an eye, keeping an ear on what's happening everywhere else, so that you can really, if something changes and you really quickly need to move and point the camera at something else, then you're ready to go. It comes down to knowing what's going to happen next, being aware of if there's any surprises, and really get to know your equipment, your cameras, your microphones, and have backups. Have a checklist of things that you need to be paying attention to, and just be present, just be attentive, just be aware of your surroundings in case you need to move and shoot something else. And obviously then when it comes to the editing part, first I sync everything. Once everything is synced, I then go back to the initial vision and start building it up. This is quite embarrassing to say, but I'm a big geek when it comes to filming, when it comes to videography, when it comes to gear. So I'm always reading, I'm always watching videos on YouTube, I'm always looking for the next trends in wedding videography. But we need to remember that a trend is a trend, and sometimes going for something a bit more timeless, it's better in the long run because you won't look back on a wedding film and cringe. There's a balance between creating something that's really trendy for a time and something that is going to withstand the test of time. But it's just about keeping that curiosity going. Most of us, when we started wedding videography, we started because we loved videography, we loved filmmaking, we love building stories and storytelling. When you do have that curiosity, you will naturally follow a learning path where you are constantly on the lookout for the next best thing, for the next super interesting angle and scene, and those things come naturally. So to me, I find myself reading Reddit a lot about what's going on in the wedding industry and just keeping on top of those things. I think that's the most important thing, is keep yourself in a position where you are aware of what's going on around you in terms of gear, in terms of trends, in terms of technology and storytelling techniques. And if you are naturally curious about that, you will, again, naturally develop in a way that allows you to stay on top of things. I think undoubtedly the most rewarding thing is to get those messages after the wedding or even during the wedding. I think that's why I love filming weddings so much, because there's not many things out there that give you this level of reward, this level of people being grateful towards what you produce. It's really rewarding to read those messages, to read those emails, because you don't get that feeling from many things in life. Someone is grateful for the fact that you captured their special day. That's something you can't get anywhere else. I think the best piece of advice is really get to know not just your videographer, your vendors. I think it's such an important day. It's one of the most important days of your life. You want to be surrounded by obviously your loved ones, your friends and stuff, but you want to feel confident in the vendors that you have allowed to be present on that day. So really demands that communication from them, really demands that relationship building aspect of things, because that's ultimately what's going to make you feel comfortable in the day. As always, if you enjoyed this type of content, if you managed to get something out of this video, and if you got some takeaways, then I would really appreciate a like and a subscribe. If you want to know anything else, please feel free to leave a comment, and I'll catch you in the next one. Ciao.